Thank you for tuning in to Around the Coin. This episode with Harsh Rajat. He is the CEO and founder of Ethereum Push Notification Services, EPNS for short. The company has raised over 11 million so far in Series A and Seed, with a valuation of over 130 million. They're completely decentralized, though. So they have a token out in the wild, the Push token. We talked about the economics of how they raised money in a decentralized way. We talked about how he went about going from just an idea to building a proof of concept, to going to the conferences, to building awareness, getting mentors, getting advice on how to structure a round, and then putting together a round of funding. How they think about the tokenomics, the percentage allocation. He's very big into game theory. So we talked about a game theory of token distribution. And Harsh is just a very well-read and articulate thinker. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as much as I do. Please do subscribe, like, share the podcast if you are finding these conversations useful. And thank you for your time. All right, Harsh, we are live, and I'm excited to be chatting with you, man. Had a nice little pre-show conversation. You've been working at EPNS, Ethereum Push Notification Services, which is quite a literal definition, quite a literal name. And at first I had to figure out, is this the name of the company? Is this just a name of a type of technology that you're building? How do you view where, I mean, this is a question I'm sure you get asked a lot, but I think it's important to start here. What's the purpose of a notification system on blockchain, specifically Ethereum? Why build it? And where are you guys with the technology?
Awesome. So those are many questions. First of all, Mike, I'm happy to be here. So starting with why do blockchain or Ethereum needs notification? Well, the first thing is, of course, when we started building this protocol, this was built at ETH Global, Hackney 2020. And of course, this was built because we saw a lot of love from Ethereum community. So that's why we named it Ethereum Push Notification Service. But that name has that name is a misnomer now because it's essentially supported by all the Web3 or all the blockchains, or it will be supported on all the blockchains. Now, why notifications or why this service is needed? Well, personally, when I started to do a research on the pain points or the missing pain points of blockchain, I started observing a lot of dApps and interacting with a lot of dApps, and that was early 2020 or late 2019. And very quickly I realized that whatever we are doing on the blockchain, we basically have to come back either to the dApp or go to Etherscan and keep on refreshing to see what has happened. And sending crypto, when that was the only thing at that point of time, it was a nuisance. But when dApps came in, when you have DeFi, when you have governance, then that nuisance actually became something which is a terrible UX. For example, like if we just go to our Web2 world, and if we just observe, the first thing we do when we get up in the morning is we take our mobile phone, we look at it, and we go through all the notifications from all the Web2 service, right? Whether it's our important email, whether it's our Venmo or PayPal payment, whether it's anything that has been said on social, any likes, whether it's about our friends messaging us on WhatsApp, or anything, literally anything which we do in the virtual Web2 world, that is driven by notifications, which means apps basically reach out to the users and say that something of importance might have occurred and what you want to do. It happens when, we take a loan. It happens when we pay someone. As I said, it happens for every app. Now, when you come to Web3, surprise, surprise, like People went for speed, people went for security, people went for scalability, but no one went for the communication layer, which basically makes Web2 so cool to operate. Like whatever we are doing, Web2 services, they communicate to us. And that was the idea behind EPNS or Ethereum push notification service, that we create a decentralized notification or communication protocol, which basically allows any app, any protocol, any smart contracts, or even any backend or Web3 or Web2 services to send communications that are tied to user wallet address. User wallet address is basically the username for Web3. For instance, like Telegram, when we are talking on Telegram, we are talking to Telegram user IDs. When we are talking to on Twitter, we are talking on through Twitter usernames. When we are talking on WhatsApp, again, WhatsApp usernames, which are mobile phone numbers. But when we are talking on Web3, we are actually not talking. What we do is we basically try to send a tweet out and we ask people to pay attention to Twitter or Discord and say, hey, your ENS domain might be expiring, or hey, 90% DeFi loans are about to be liquidated. And if you are among those 90%, then do something. And this indirect form of communication leads to terrible UI and UX for Web3, which is what EPNS was built to solve. Basically, this communication protocol means that now these services can send direct notifications to a user wallet address. And this network, which we are building, it's open, it's multi-chain, it's gasless and platform agnostic, which basically means that any crypto front-end can tap into this network. Users get notification without paying for the gas. Services for the most part of the services for the most part will also not pay for the gas. And multi-chain, because our vision is that this service should be a Web3 equivalent of communication protocol, which is there on Web2, which was built by Apple or Google. So yeah, that's why multi-chain, because our vision is again that a user of Ethereum should be able to, or a service of Ethereum should be able to reach out to a user of, let's say, any non-EVM blockchain, and vice versa. So that's the reason for building notifications. We are not building notifications actually. We are building the communication layer. It's just that you need to build notification out first, because even if you're building WhatsApp, WhatsApp is also driven by notifications. So that's why we chose to build notifications first. And of course, and another alpha is that we are going to launch wallet to wallet communication very soon as well, because notifications got built and they are launched on and are live on Ethereum now. So yeah, that's a long answer.
Yeah, no, thank you appreciate the elaborate answer. Are you saying multi-sig as one of the components of how it was built? I just want to make sure I heard you correctly.
No, multi-chain. So multi-chain basically means that communication can occur within EVM as well as non-EVM machines. So notifications can be sent to Ethereum, in the future Polygon, Harmony, any L2s, and then after that in the future, maybe on let's say Solana, if we are taking an example of a non-EVM. So it's like that. It's just the communication layer for Web3. Any blockchain which is on Web3 will be using it.
And how is it pronounced again?
Multi-chain.
Multi-chain. Got it. Sorry. Yeah. And one of the simplest ways I can see this being used is if I make a transaction, if I send someone Ethereum, I want to get notified when it's approved, when it's complete. And sometimes it's not. You send it through, you don't have enough gas behind the transaction, and the transaction does not complete. So there's a real, it's like you don't need a notification when you send an email to know that it goes through, but oftentimes it doesn't on blockchain. That makes total sense. When you think of the analogy you gave to Twitter with the usernames and Instagram, same. Are the wallets themselves the registered identification markers, and how does a individual have to subscribe or sign up to enter in the type of the channel that they want to get notified from? So if I want to use the service, I connect my wallet somehow, and then I enter in my email, my Telegram, and you guys send a message using that channel.
Got it. So yeah, this is basically a decentralized version, which means that the user wallet address, they are your usernames. Because, if you think about it, if you go to any app, you are not creating a username over there. You're not connecting your email. What you're doing is you're connecting your wallet address. So that's why, our usernames are just your wallet address. We don't take emails, we don't take Telegram, because again, it's not a centralized service, it's like a decentralized service, which means these communication land directly to a user wallet address. And as you said before, sending payments, maybe you'll need a notification for that. But another simple use case is like when I'm even receiving payments or receiving crypto, I don't get notified. I mean, sending payments, I still can monitor for 10 seconds or 5 minutes or an hour, as long as the transaction takes. That UI sucks. But let's say I can. But receiving money, no way to notify me. And if you move or if you build this further, like if you are into DeFi, so you can take a loan in Web3 equivalent terms, just like Web2 Bank. But in Web2, when your loan is about to be liquidated, the bank can reach out to you because the bank knows your Web2 username, which is probably your email or your phone number. But in Web3, in DeFi, when your loan liquidates, there's no way to reach out to you, or there was no way to reach out to you. And because of that, a lot of loans got liquidated because people were not even aware. So this is, another example. And then you can start building on it, like ENS domains, or when you take an ENS name, your .eth might expire. And again, there's no way for you to reach out that, your .eth domain is expiring. You go to governance, so, proposals come. And again, no way to reach out to you, a DAO token holder, or if you're a part of the DAO, like, hey, your proposal is going to expire. And then when you're talking about future, let's see, metaverse, for example. So in metaverse, everyone is like, again, your username is your wallet address, but there's no way to talk to them. So again, because you don't have a communication there, people cannot really talk. And when people are unable to talk, then a lot of problems are
Yeah, totally. And you make a good example with the loans, because those are real practical financial costs that happen because of the lack of notifications. So technically, the way that EPNS works is that are you monitoring specific addresses who's given you approval to do so, and then you send a notification when you see a confirmation on chain, and you send a notification to the DApp, and then the DApp will send the desktop notification, email, text, whatever. It's up to the DApp, which is set by the user. Is that the technical flow of operations?
Not really, but I mean, also to answer your previous question, like you said, is it costly for the user? So it's totally gasless or free for the user. And when the user wants to receive notification, they just have to opt in to the notification by a service. And that opt in is basically a message signed by their wallet, which is sent to our network. Now, coming back to how these notification system work. So basically what we are building is a communication protocol, which basically means that we are building the underlying layer using which the DApp or any DApp or any smart contract or any backend, they can trade using, logic that is left onto them. They can basically trigger communication flow or communication block to the wallet address. And whenever this logic hits by the service, we believe that the service knows what they want to send to their wallet address. So we basically don't monitor any on-chain events. We basically have built a protocol that supports on-chain and off-chain events both, because again, the logic is left to the service. But whenever that logic or whatever that logic is, when the service thinks that, okay, this logic needs to be executed or needs to be sent to all the wallet addresses or a bunch of the wallet addresses or single wallet addresses, then the service can basically sign that JSON payload, or then the service can basically generate a JSON payload, which can have all these information, and then again sign it with their wallet, which basically means that we are able to verify, or the network, the decentralized network is able to verify that it is indeed coming from a service like ENS or Uniswap or Banker or DYDX or Polygon or Gitcoin. And once that is sent to the push nodes, which is basically the validator nodes for our network, the push nodes then basically either admit that communication payload inside the network based on security and validation checks, or reject it. Once it's admitted inside the network, because the network is open, just like Ethereum blockchain data that's open. So because of that, any crypto front end, any crypto wallet can then just tap into this communication data and can show to the wallet address that these are the communication or notifications which you have from these services.
Got it. Okay. So that is helpful to understand it. Fascinating model. So when you think about growth as a business owner, you think about integration into the dApps. So is one of your core objectives as a company to have dApps integrate the protocol, the EPNS protocol, so that you could then have more notifications go out to users?
Yes, actually, because we are a communication middleware, so one of our primary objective is like a lot of the apps, they integrate the protocol so that these communications can start flowing and can start getting indexed by the network. And the other side is the crypto wallets, because if the crypto wallets are able to tap into this network and can show you the notifications out. For example, one day you open MetaMask and you see all your notifications, then basically we solve the biggest UI hurdle of Web3 adoption. So that's the basic core vision. Fortunate for us, like when we started, because we were the creators of this communication protocol, nothing existed before that. I think because of that, and because Ethereum protocols are very, very awesome, we were able to work with a lot of very cool protocols. So we are working with Uniswap, we are working with Polygon, we are working with ENS, we are working with DYDX, we are working with Decentralized, because they instantly saw that this communication is needed for them to grow and for the users' problem which they are having to be solved. So yeah.
And it doesn't make sense. Did you ever have a conversation where somebody like Decentraland said, hey, we're going to build it ourselves? Is the concept of building it themselves something you talked about or ran into, or have any dApps decided to take that route?
No, because couple of reasons actually. Because of I mean, when we spoke to the dApps, there were a couple of reasons why the dApp couldn't build it out themselves. The first reason is that uh, it's not as easy as it looks, because you're dealing with shared username, like your wallet address is shared. So if a dApp basically builds their own version of something, then chances are they're building the Web2 app, Web2 mobile app for themselves, and they will follow their own protocol and they will follow their own architecture, and then the notification will flow. But because this is Web3 and because this is a shared username, so the dApps usually don't want to build it themselves, because either they will go to the Web2 analogy, which no one really wants to go, or if they want to follow the Web3 equivalent analogy, then they basically have to build the entire network. Like it's just as complex as building a layer one, but without the blockchain part of it. Like it's still decentralized, it's still distributed, It's just that the fault tolerance comes from these verification proofs, which we already have. So yeah, it's
Right.
basically a different project than what the protocol basically
Right.
wants to do. So
Yeah, your point there behind the idea that one wallet on, say, Decentraland, that wallet also wants to receive notifications from EVM or anywhere else that that wallet is being used. So to have a Web3 decentralized communication layer for one DApp doesn't make sense, because then that would limit the scale of the communication layer, but also would just be a negative experience for the user, because that person could only receive notifications from this one place, where in reality they want to receive notifications everywhere. It's like basically the question I asked you was like, why wouldn't Uber build their own push notification service? It's like, no, that's Apple's responsibility, right? Apple owns the network, but by analogy here, the network is decentralized, so hence EPNS. Got it.
exactly.
And you guys have raised what? I saw about 10 million. Is that right? Somewhere in that range?
Yeah, so we recently raised 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
That was our Series A. So we got participation from a lot of very cool VCs and angels. They included Tiger Global, Parafy, A Capital, Jump led the round, and around 25 really, really cool investors. So yeah, that happened very, very recently, but that's not the only raise we did. Before that, we also did a seed. In seed, we basically had people like Balaji Srinivasan, Preeti Pesareddy, uh, Anthony Cesano, DeFi Dad, Mariano Conti, Binance, True Ventures, and again, we have around 50 or more than 50, actually, more than 60 plus investors, which are basically visible on our website. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot A Capital, Sino Global, Polygon, Harmony,
Yeah,
Big
great,
Time,
great list of
The
people.
Lao, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, a bunch of them. So,
yeah.
so you raised over 10. You raised a seed round that was a couple million. So basically, about 13-ish million in the door. How many people working on the project now?
It's around 30 right now.
Yeah.
So 15 are like core team members and 15 are interns. We basically follow the interns to serious developer or core developer life cycle, which basically means that you basically join as an intern first. And within 3 months, if your work is really mind blowing, then of course you're absorbed as a core team member.
Awesome. Distributed all across the world? Or are you guys focused in India?
Yes. So yeah, that's the cool part. We started with a decentralized team, like a fully remote, fully global team. So we have team members from almost all continents. I think we are missing Australia, but yeah,
Antarctica. Uh, there's 7 continents. You can't forget the Antarctica as a continent. Although I would be blown away if you had a developer in Antarctica. uh,
maybe soon.
yeah, yeah. So what was the fundraising process like? I'm curious. When you went out, because you don't have a token, correct? So there's not a like a coin drop. There's no tokens in circulation. Did you raise the traditional company where you have a typical formation? And I'm curious how the structure of the company looks behind the scenes.
Got it. So actually, we do have a token. It's called
Oh,
Push.
sorry.
Uh,
Mm,
yeah, yeah. So we did raise it on the token. I mean, token was important because we are
hmm
building this decentralized network. So token is used over there, along with governance and because this is a decentralized live communication middleware. So to adjust the setting of this communication middleware on the go, we wanted it to be decentralized. So token comes into the play. Then we have DAO as well. So the token is needed at that point also. And then we also have a fee split in the future, wherein the fees that will be accrued directly by the protocol will be distributed among the crypto wallets that basically integrate the protocol. So these are like some of the utilities of the token, but yeah, I mean, it was very evident from to us from the start that this needs to be a network of its own, and to secure that network token is the best way to do that.
Okay, so you're sitting there, you didn't have a token, you said, hey, we want to raise more money. Did you go and build the token, launch the token, then go and reach out to folks for intros to investors? Or what was kind of your general step-by-step playbook to both launch the token, but more importantly, close the round? I'm curious how you went about that.
Got it. So we actually launched the token like a year back, or a year and 2 months back. We launched it around 13th April, just a month after we closed our seed. As I said, like the process was, we started building this entire thing in the later parts of 2019, or at least the initial architecture. Then we went to Hackney 2020 Eat Global. That was in April, where we built a POC out. Then we went to Gitcoin kernel. We were the top projects over there as well. Then after that, we went to Gitcoin Grants Round 7, and we were blown away by the love shown by Ethereum community because we were the top three projects in our own category over there, and that was the first grant money that came to us after not having a paycheck for at least 9 to 10 months. So it was very very nice. And yeah, at that point of time, the POC was ready, everything was working, but on Ropsy. So that made us pretty confident that, people support it. This is something that is needed. There's a huge product market fit, which basically led to raising a seed and then later on a Series A. So it was
Mm.
basically building a POC, getting the product market fit right, testing what is out with the community, and after that, go raise some money based on the token so that we can fully achieve the vision that we plan to do with
Yeah.
EPNS.
Yeah. So building out proof of concepts and then it sounds like getting in front of people at these conferences were really influential in building out your brand recognition as a company and individuals. We'll call it a project. I'm not sure if you use the word company. When you went to raise, did you make a list of a few investors you really wanted and then got email intros to them? Was it some other process? Did you have a company you were modeling after? Did you incorporate like tokens into the raise? I'm curious how you went about that.
Got it. So I think we were naive, and that really helped because we basically, after Gitcoin grants and Gitcoin kernel, we basically reached out to some of the top VCs which were there in Gitcoin kernel, and we were like, "Hey, how to raise?" So that naivety helped because I mean those people were really really awesome, and they basically gave us uh, an hour or 2 hours just to tell us how to raise it right and how to reach out to people, and they also reached out to people on our behalf. More than I think, other than that, what really helped was that after Eat Global, we started talking about our project and we started tweeting it out. And it got attention of a lot of cool Web3 mentors. Like
Mm.
it got attention from MetaMask co-founder Dan Finley, who basically said that you cannot store everything on smart contract, that will not work, which basically helped us go to the V1 of EPNS protocol. We also got the attention from the graph, like Yaniv basically reached out to us and said like how they can help, and what he said was like We don't know how to raise, or we don't know how to pitch, because at that point of time we were pitching to VCs, and those pitches were like 1 or 2 hours long. So basically,
Wow.
then Yaniv said, like, let's get on a call, and he basically coached. And it's not just him, even Unstoppable Domain co-founder. They
Mm.
came and they wanted to help, and a lot of other co-founders also, like who were big in the space. They basically said that, here, take my time, and maybe I'll be able to help you out. It's the same thing,
Yeah,
with VCs also. So I guess the naivety helped, because we just reached out, asking for help, whether it was raise, whether it was about pitching, and whenever we asked for help, like, the Ethereum community as a whole responded. So that
that's
made us
fantastic.
actually
Yeah,
fall totally in love with the Ethereum community, like, because
yeah.
we saw that all you have to do is ask, and as long as the product or the idea is good, a lot of people will reach out to you, and they will try to help you out. So
That's
yeah.
fantastic. Yeah, that's really what has made the tech world so successful, in my view, particularly as a value system that's been in the Bay Area, where people just default think about helping each other, not viewing it as a zero sum game. Also viewing failure as one step towards success, and people swing multiple times at bat. Was there, I would imagine, I would say like high level advice for people raising, period, is going to be pursue top investors, get your pitch very tight, kind of make the upside potential down the road really big, have things be conveyed simply. Were there any pieces of advice that stood out to you as unique or especially powerful, or maybe specific to decentralization or Web3?
Got it. So, I mean, lot of advices actually. The first thing is, like, when we had this idea, we were very scared to talk about it in public, because we thought VCs will steal the idea.
Really?
VCs, yeah, but VCs, later on I learned, like, VCs, they don't steal ideas. Uh, so yeah, they steal successful things. They don't steal ideas, and they basically, or good VCs basically will not steal, because they know that they need to back the idea and back the founder, because only the founder will be able to pivot. So that's a myth.
Totally.
VCs will
It's
never
also
steal your idea.
it's so hard. I've heard somebody joke that it's so hard to convince people to join your early stage unfunded idea that if I were to tell you, hey, I'll pay you $20,000 if you can get someone to quit whatever they're doing full time and join you for free. It's like the concept of people stealing ideas at that stage is like people are too busy,
Exactly.
man. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's my first advice. Like, don't be afraid to share your idea. The second advice is, like, as I said, like, this communication layer wasn't invented, right, or wasn't created. And in 2020, when I wanted to work on it, like, I worked on the architecture for 4 months, initial one, and then after that, I had this hiccup, that should I or should I not send it to Ethereum Foundation, the entire idea. And it was because I thought that the idea is very stupid, or the idea is so simple, or it's so straightforward that, it would have been made. I'm missing something, and maybe I'll be called out for that. And but yeah, as soon as I got the courage, which was 10 days after the architecture was formed, I sent the email out, and that started our journey. And the Ethereum Foundation basically helped us a ton. Like, join this hackathon, and you can do this and that, and so many things. And, even with the tweet which I was talking about, so many people basically came for help. So the second lesson I learned was that you have to be uh, really shameless in asking questions. Like, whatever you feel, whether you feel the question is stupid or not, you can just ask out. It doesn't really hurt. and no question is actually stupid. So that's the thing. That was the second idea. Then, later on your journey, the third idea is like your pitches needs to be very, very short. My pitch was an hour or 2 hours long at first. Nobody gave me money then.
Yeah, I'm
Then,
amazed that people sat through those meetings. I mean, I don't know if they're putting on no
they
video in
were
the
very
Zoom calls.
kind people.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I give you a lot of credit for even having a pitch 2 hours long. I'm thinking 10 minutes, 15 minutes, like boom, 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 boom. Yeah. So how did you
No,
modify it over
they
time?
were really, really kind people. I actually asked VCs to help me improve, and then I asked a lot of other people like who I knew or who I had, I mean, whose DMs were open. I just asked them, "Hey, can you help me?" And I actually am really grateful uh, for a uh, for a lot of people and a lot of people's time because
Hmm.
uh, I mean, whoever I asked this help from, most of them they just said, "Okay, fine, we'll help." And then they sat through 2 hours of pitch or 1.5 hours of pitch, and they were like, "No, make it 15 minutes."
Yeah.
And then the next time they're there again, and the 1.5 hours of pitch somehow went into 1 hour 45 minutes. So it was like a lot of iterations, but
Right.
finally they got it down to 5 or 10 minutes. And that was the point when, the these actually started happening a lot
Hmm.
faster.
Hmm.
But yeah,
And how did you structure the deal again? Is there a company in which you traded equity or is it entirely a token sale?
it was a token sale. So it's basically, I mean, the seed was done on SAPT, which just stands for Simple Agreement for Future Token. It's based out of SAFE, which was done from Y Combinator. SAFE is Simple Agreement for Future Equity. So yeah, we did a token or a future token sale for seed and for Series A. Of course, the token was live, so we basically uh, just raised on that token.
Hmm. And are you going to, or do you currently have a foundation where a percentage of the tokens are part of a DAO or foundation that are going to be used or are used for purposes?
Got it. So we have both the Tau, which has 53% of the token allocation because we wanted this to be actually very, very decentralized. That's separate from the foundation because foundation, of course, we told that the foundation tokens will be reserved for voting or for future series round and so on. So foundation was more like a reserve which can be used for these specific functions. Well, the DAO is completely separate. That's community. So that's how it's structured.
Mm. And the foundation, what's the objective of the foundation either today or going forward? Many times protocols or projects will have a foundation that has 20% of the tokens and they'll use that money to invest in apps or other builders on top of the protocol or other things. Have you made any moves in that direction?
No, our foundation was actually very small. It was just 7%. And it was mostly reserved for these things, like if we are doing our Series A, or if there's something that we have unforeseen, which is required when it uh, comes to doing things after token launches. Like one of the things is when the governance is there and when we want to upgrade the on-chain smart contract using governance, then you need some percentage of the tokens. So we basically asked ourselves like what the foundation purpose would be. So the answer was very clear that it might be used for Series A and maybe in the future for Series B, and to sign on-chain governance proposals and to basically kickstart the entire network and to give some tokens out either to exchanges or to whatever marketing company requires it to be. So, with all those things in mind, we came up with a formula that 7% is a good enough number, and we wanted to segregate it with uh, we wanted to segregate that from the community DAO because what we realized was that a lot of projects they basically say that here's the community DAO, and then it is basically used for all the things you said. So that's why we segregated those things out. Basically, the community has 53%, the foundation had 7%. Now it's a lot less because we did our Series A. The team and the founders, they have 16%. It's now again a lot less because in the Series A, we also surrendered some of our tokens to make the Series A happen because the foundation tokens are still getting vested. And then the investors combining seed and Series A, I think they have 28 or 29% of the token.
And that, I presume, that 28% that investors would have is completely liquid, right? They could sell that, trade that at any point. It's just a token as in any other token?
No.
Okay. It's vested?
No. Yes. So the seed tokens, they were cliff for 3 months and they vested for 2 years, which basically means that worst case scenario, all the seed investors will be able to sell all their tokens on 13th April 2023. And the Series A tokens, they are vested for 9 or 12. They're cliff for 9 and 12 months, and they're vested for 24 months or 30 months. So everyone is vested. Even the team and the founders allocation, like our tokens, they are vested for 4 years. So nobody gets it all of a sudden. Only the community gets it all of a sudden, which was when the Polka Starter IDO happened, or with the airdrop that we did.
Interesting. I appreciate you going down this rabbit hole with me. I want to ask you this: when investor invests, you do the round, you issue the token agreements with the cliff and the vesting schedule. How are the mechanics handled for that vesting schedule? Is that both a legal document as well as an on-chain algorithm, or is it just an algorithm and email that says this is what the algorithm is doing? Like how is typically when you would do this, it's controlled by your legal team and they issue shares, and the shares aren't actually anything. They're just a document saying you own 10,000 shares in a company. By contrast, how do the mechanics work on your end?
Got it. So everyone is vested and cliffed via smart contract, first of all, and then by legal documents. So smart contract basically means that, that vesting once deployed, we cannot change it. So yeah.
And did you code that yourself into the smart contract, or is there a tool that you used or that protocols generally use? Oh, did I lose you?
Yeah, a bit, but I got the question. So I did actually code that myself. It was based on a vesting library of Open Zeppelin, but it's slightly modified. But of course, then it went through the audit process. All the smart contracts that we deploy on mainnet, they're audited by ChainSafe. So yeah.
Got it.
If I missed any part of the question, let me know.
Yeah. No, I find it fascinating because it's so important that this stuff be done right. And it happens with every project. And that's why I'm curious if projects contrast or vary in how they structure it. So you coded yourself the vesting and the cliff schedules in the smart contract and then had it audited by an external legal firm or technical firm, Team Safe?
ChainSafe. They basically are pretty famous in Ethereum. But yeah, the vesting contract, I don't remember whether I
Mm.
coded the vesting contract exactly, but yeah, the genesis of the smart contract. So a bunch of smart contracts were coded by me. Uh, and a bunch of the smart contracts was coded by the team. Uh, I think with vesting, I yeah, I don't remember if I coded it or the team member,
Mm.
but yeah, it went through the auditing process.
In hindsight, when you think about the entire fundraising process, whether it's like meeting people, doing pitches, refining the deck, negotiating terms, creating the legal docs, KYC, AML, all this stuff, and coding it on smart checks, auditing, wiring money. Do you feel like we're there as an industry, or is it like, are we in the Stone Ages? Do you feel like this has a lot of room to improve, or it's like basically very functional and fairly efficient?
I think your long question actually is the answer, Mike. We are still in Stone Age.
And
To top it off, like when this smart contract and seed and raise and everything was happening, a week before the token genesis, which was scheduled to go out, me and my co-founder, we actually got COVID. But yeah, because the dates were set, we actually didn't take a break. We just were doing a lot of things for 18, 19 hours of a day, and then a lot of meds to make sure that we survive. But yeah, a lot of things is very stressful and very, very Stone Age-ish. Like, for example, the entire smart contracts that we deployed, I actually came up with a versioning control myself, and it's an open repo, so people can check that out. Just EPNS, GitHub repo, smart contracts, Genesis. And I feel that, that is at the very least, that should be a standard when you're deploying smart contract because it has version control. It has ways by which, in case you deploy something and it went out, you will not be able to deploy it again until you change the config file again. So when I was working on that, I was so stressed, and that was the point I realized that this should not really. There should be an easier way than this.
mm,
That was just one issue, by the way, when we were doing our IDO at Polka Starter. So you basically what you do is you ask people that, come apply over here. This is a Google form. And after that, you have to randomly select, um, you know, 250 people. In our case, I think it was 250 or 500 people that could participate in the Polka Starter sale. And you basically have to segregate all the entries yourself. So when we opened that Google form, we got around 500,000 entries, and of course, from those 500,000 entries, a lot of them, or 30% of them, were bots. So we had 2 days to basically decide on a randomized lottery, like who will win. But of course, the randomized lottery cannot really operate first before we weed out the bots. So then I don't know how we were able to come out with a Google script, and we asked all team members to work day and night. And just before an hour, when the sale was about to close, we had the file, which basically worked, and then the randomized thing was done, and then the Polka starter thing came up. So again, that's the second thing
wait,
that
can I
was
pause you
an
there?
issue.
What was it? What is it? You said polka. What is the? It's a randomized list of people that you have to do something. I missed the.
Uh, So it's Polka Starter. Polka Starter is a IDO service, like
Oh, okay.
when, yeah. So when you are launching your tokens out, you basically do a sort of cloud sale, or we wanted to do a cloud sale at the same amount at which we raised our seed from, or the extended seed from. The idea was like investors should be equal to the community holders. Actually, that's our idea from the beginning, that
Mm.
community holders, at the very least, they need to be equivalent to the investors, but most of the time they need to be greater than what the investors do. So because of that, we raised our seed at around 12 cents, and that's what we wanted to offer other people, the opportunity to buy the tokens at 12 cents, just to make it
Mm.
very, very fair, apart from the airdrop which we gave to Gitcoin grantees who supported us in the start, and people,
Mm.
of course, who were using our protocol on blockchain. But yeah, Polka
Mm.
Starter basically is one of the IDO platform, kind of like IEOs which happen on Binance or KuCoin, or popular centralized exchanges. Polka Starter, in that sense, is more decentralized. It's not a centralized exchange; it's a decentralized exchange with their own smart contracts. Not a decentralized exchange, but a decentralized way to basically do your initial coin offering.
Mm. And
That's called IDO.
could you have raised that amount of money, 10 plus million, from the community, or is there not enough like public interest from retail investors?
Got it. So, I mean, Series A was when we had 10 million. I
Mm-hmm.
think in seed, we might have been able to. Uh, I mean, now I think we would be able to, but at that point
Yeah.
of time, when you are raising seed, it's very jittery because you basically need at least some amount of money to make sure that you are able to prove the product market fit and you are able to push the minimum version of your product out for the people. And you cannot basically just rely on a crowd sale, because what has happened is a lot of scam projects, they basically uh, kind of scammed all the people
Mm-hmm.
out. So you do need some signal boost. I think looking back, we had Gitcoin support, or the Gitcoin round support. We also won grants from Matic, Polygon, and Aave.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we would have been able to raise from the crowd. But yeah, at that point of time, you get very, very nervous. What happens if the crowd doesn't
Yeah.
like it, or doesn't like the vision? So that's why I think a balance is required.
Yeah, a lot more unpredictable. I mean, I think VCs serve a very valid purpose in the funding ecosystem by having the unique visibility and attentiveness to segregate what projects are legitimate. That's effectively the value they provide, because people, I mean, retail investors aren't going to spend and can't be expected to spend nearly the time and attention that professional investors do. So
Yes,
from a
yes.
project perspective, it makes sense to have a combination of those. It was there, you mentioned 50-50, or you wanted at least the community retail investors to own at least as much as the institutional investors that came in. I want to ask you about the mechanics of the token now that it's live, and how what contributes to the growth of the value of the token. You mentioned there's no gas fees. Sounds like it's free for everybody. What drives the return for investors of the token over time? And is there a revenue model incorporated into the token?
Got it. So yeah, the revenue model will basically kick in a little late. And again, it's up to the governance, the token holder moving the governance process to flip that switch. So right now, when the services are sending notifications, we are not charging them. The only thing we are charging the services, like when they activate themselves on the smart contract, then that charge is basically put on the smart contract itself. It doesn't go to any company in decentralized smart contract way. But yeah, in the future, once we go everywhere, or once we are everywhere, then the governance token holders, or the push token holders, because push is not just governance, as a lot of other things. So the push token holders can then decide to flip a switch, and that switch will then start charging fees when these services are sending notifications on a monthly or a yearly basis. So that will basically form the inflow for the push. And then, as I said, the crypto wallets which have integrated EPNS, they can take a part of that fees out. Even the push holders can decide to take a part of the fees out, again, through the smart contract itself. Apart from that, of course, there are few other utilities and few other features wherein, push will be charged. This wallet to wallet as well, which I said is coming. So that token economics is again going to be attached to the push and the fee pool. So yeah, in essence, there are a lot of things that will charge push tokens, but those things are not attached to the user, because that is just a very bad way to encourage someone to adopt something. So for the users, it's going to be free, or its notifications are going to be free for the users forever. Chat, we'll probably have some sort of a premium model. Again, whatever thing happens, it will go into the protocol, and from that, it can be segregated out.
Got it. Okay. So free for the users, and the community will vote on when to implement a transaction fee that will be paid by the DApp. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And basically the voting is open source. People can create questions, they can vote on them at any point. And when a majority, like 51% of people, of the token holders vote to implement fees, then how does it work? Then you as a separate company will have an obligation to build that at some timeline. Is that generally the order of operations?
Not really. So because you deploy a smart contract on Ethereum, you can program that smart contract that if and it doesn't even have to be 51%. It can be like if more than 4% or if more than 1% of the push token holders, they say that enable that, and in 7 days their amount of votes is greater than is greater than the people who are, or the votes which are against it, again directly on the Ethereum and smart contract, then enable this function. So it's completely smart contract based.
Oh, I see. It's already encoded. It's already built. So is 4%? So whenever 4% of people vote positively on this question, then this feature will turn on.
Yes. So
Okay.
it's 4% right now. It's getting built, like it's getting built on the V2 of the contract. So that is something which we call on-chain governance. It will probably come in Q3. But yeah, just to be clear.
Yeah, because it seems like there's two ways to do it. One is the functionality, say hypothetically in your case here, we're talking about the functionality to take a transaction fee from each push notification. That could theoretically be encoded into the project, into the protocol, and then there's just like a scheduled voting date where people vote. And you could wake up in the morning and push could be charging, EPNS could be charging a transaction fee, hypothetically. But what I've observed in many projects is people will be able to vote according to how many tokens they have, and then the result of the vote on chain is just the obligation of usually it's like an LLC or a company of developers, and those developers are obligated to do whatever was voted, which is different because that means like, hey, I'm going on vacation this week, therefore I'm not going to build it, as opposed to it being completely automated.
Got it. So exactly what you're talking, it being completely automated. That's called on-chain governance, which basically means that you cook all these coding logic and you get it audited and you get it deployed on the blockchain. And after that, you basically, you basically don't have a legal obligation. You basically have a programming obligation,
Mm-hmm.
which you cannot really deny.
Yeah.
So that's the beauty of a smart contract.
100%, 100%. Yeah, you don't need a legal obligation. You don't need lawyers to enforce it or a government to enforce it. It's just math
Yeah.
in a database. So when that kicks
In my
on,
country, if you have lawyers enforcing something, then that basically means 5 to 10 years.
yeah.
So yeah, it's much better with smart contracts.
Amen. Yeah. Well, lawyers here are extremely expensive and yeah, difficult to deal with. So when this does turn on, when the subscription or the transaction fees turn on, is the amount previously set? I mean, is that encoded into the structure of the protocol itself?
The amount will also, the push holders can also change the amount. As I said, communication middleware, it keeps on changing as years pass by. So the push holders decide the amount as well. But of
See,
course, for us, yeah.
I'm curious. I'm curious why you built it that way. I mean, you could have chosen to say it's going to be, a 2% transaction fee, and that's just what it is. I would presume that when you leave it open to the voters, then there's kind of this. It's like open, like complete democracy. If everybody votes on every issue, it's not necessarily the best way of governing society, outside of smart contracts, just society, because it puts an enormous tax on people. There can be like groups of people who get together and they push an idea. It opens up the door to coercion is maybe not the best word, but it opens up the door to incentive structures that are not in the best interest of the protocol, because people who are voting for their own self-interest, as they should. They want their valuation to grow. Maybe they're getting together and they're saying, hey, let's bump up the valuation for the next couple of weeks and then we'll sell it. And, there's all sorts of these games that go on. Have you thought about whether this kind of thing is a potential risk to the project or? Yeah.
So actually, we developed a very cool game theory behind it. Remember, I said that the fees which is getting split, the push holders can also say that I get 60% of the split, and the crypto wallets get 40%. So now the game theory dictates that if you get greedy, and all push token holders say that I get 95% of everything, then all of a sudden the crypto wallets will not be very interested in integrating this out. And
Mm.
that will basically mean that even if you get greedy, you lose money. It's the same thing with charging services. Like the way, we can code like 2% per transaction, but the way notifications work, like per transaction, might be very, very costly for some people. Like for DeFi, if you have a million users in DeFi, and per transaction is 2%, then 1 million potential notifications when your loan is getting liquidated or a million user loans are getting liquidated will, of course, be very costly. So instead of that, what we thought was like they can or service can probably pay monthly and yearly as well, apart
Mm.
from, per notification. And then the question arose like, after 2 years, will that 2% really be feasible? If we grow so much that, this is getting used by every person in Web3, then it doesn't seem fair, like services will be charged per notification. So that is where the game theory again kicked in. Like, if let's say the token holders say that let's increase this fee to $100, then per notifications, of course, you might be able to fool someone, but the monthly and yearly subscription services will
Hmm.
not go for it. Therefore, you are just putting a hammer on your own foot, or you're
Mm.
shooting your own foot.
Yeah.
So that's how this thing is made. The other reason why we made it like this, or why we are moving progressively towards decentralization, is because a huge fan of game theory. And the reason why Bitcoin network persists everything or Ethereum network persists everything is because, 60% or more of the players are playing in the best interest of the network.
Mm.
And there's actually a cool simulation as well. It's play.me/trust or something, wherein you can just play with a lot of simulations, and you will realize that if you get 60% or more players or good actors into the system, then the system will never go rogue or will never go bad. So at this phase, that's why we said that we are going to progressively decentralize everything, because what we want is we want these good actors or 60% good actors in the network. And if we do it right, then even when we are not there, and we will of course be there forever in this, but even when we are not needed, the system can take care of itself or the network can take care of itself, which basically is what decentralization means, at least
Mm.
to me, that
Mm-hmm.
you don't really have to be a core player. Other players can be equally or can be better than what you created. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate the link there, play.me/trust. And your interest in game theory is super interesting. I promised you we'd get out of here by an hour, so I want to make sure I hold that promise. Are you actively writing on Twitter or Medium, Substack, anywhere publicly, personally?
yes, I'm on Twitter. You can reach out to me at Harsh Rajat,
Mm-hmm.
HRSHRAGAT. But more than that, you can reach out to our project at EPNS project. Uh, we are on Twitter, we are on Telegram, we are on Discord. Depending how chatty you are. If you're a developer or if you have cool ideas, hop into Discord. If you just want us to see blabber and shitpost, go
Yeah.
to EPNS project. And also one more thing, I just opened up the URL. So it's ncase.me/trust, ncase.me/trust.
All right. We'll include that in the show notes. Um, that sounds great. There was one thing I wanted to ask you. We were talking about game theory tokens. I assume price of the play token you're bullish on, so people check that out. Sorry, not play, push token. All
Yeah.
right.
One thing,
Mm-hmm.
guys, like I'm the founder of Push. I'll always be bullish. Uh, but whether it's my token, whether it's anyone else's token, do your own research. Make sure you understand everything, and only then invest. Like that's called DYOR. So yeah, do your own research and not a financial advice.
Yeah, of course. All right, my man. Well, thanks so much. Really enjoyed chatting with you, and keep crushing it. I hope you guys do fantastic.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Mike. I mean, this was really fun.
Yeah. Take care, Harsh. Bye.
Take care. Bye.